Hi, welcome to the Painted Lady Coaching by Amanda Douglas. I'm Amanda Douglas, and life gave me a PhD in narcissistic abuse, so I'm here to educate the masses on toxic abuse cycles and how to recover from them. So, this video is going to be on the topic of feeling stuck in the healing process after narcissistic abuse. So, as I've stated before, that healing is most definitely a non-linear journey. It'll have many ups and downs, which can honestly just make it feel like an emotional roller coaster in and of itself. And it'll have like periods of setbacks and stagnation as well, which I'm kind of gonna talk about the whole stagnation portion of it in this video and how that's an entirely normal thing and totally okay if you've ever experienced this, or if this is kind of like where you're at now if you're in that journey. It's all part of the process. So why the whole healing process can even kind of feel so like endless and ongoing is because of like some of the emotional whiplash that you can experience during the whole relationship with a toxic abuser. The whole cycle of like idealization and devaluation and that whole oscillation between the two, and then the eventual like end of the relationship, it just causes a lot of emotional trauma, and it leads to a lot of confusion and just emotional highs and lows. When I had my version of this, I can even say that the the healing of it almost felt just as cyclical as the relationship itself, with like the going back and forth between like, you know, the highs and the lows. But again, that's kind of like to be expected and all a part of it, and some of just the emotions that you just have to work through. And that's okay. Again, talking about the highs and the lows, like that trauma bond that is created because of the highs and the lows is also kind of why you will just sort of experience that anyway, because your body's used to that. So like that's kind of what it's kind of going to oscillate through. I kind of just do that hand motion trying to find the words to describe it, but yeah, like the oscillation between the two is very likely to happen, and it does make it difficult to sort of like let go of the relationship for like one reason or another, like even if like you are grateful that it's over. So it can be really tough. It can be really tough, like experiencing that oscillation and going back and forth with the emotions. So, and then on top of that, you are likely going to experience a lot of repressed emotions, and then a lot of triggers are going to happen. And I've kind of gone into this a little bit before, but it's like when you're actually like in the relationship, you are likely to be going through maybe like a little bit of like dissociation, and you're kind of just in survival mode the entire relationship. So once you start to come out of that relationship and kind of like that fog starts to like lift, the fog that is survival mode, a lot of those emotions are going to come up to the surface. And like when you're in survival mode, it's like you don't really have time to sit and process with those feelings. Like when you are with a narcissist, when you are with a toxic person, it's just like your systems are on high alert all the time. You don't have time to sit and process those emotions. So yeah, they're gonna come up, and it's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be pleasant. And then of course, again, like it's not fun, it's not pleasant, it leads to a lot of like emotional flashbacks, and it can kind of just feel like you're just back at ground zero, like you're back at like just square one. And a lot of survivors, if they maybe didn't have it before, they definitely develop complex trauma because of it, or complex PTSD rather, CPTSD. I kind of say all of those things interchangeably, and this also kind of contributes to that stuck feeling a lot of the time when you're going through this healing process. And this will show up in ways like hypervigilance, maybe like emotional numbness, and like intrusive thoughts or emotional flashbacks about the relationship. That's all kind of like a part of the complex trauma of it. The highs and lows and the emotional roller coaster of healing, your brain processes trauma in waves. Again, you're gonna feel great and maybe overwhelmed the next because of the fact that, you know, your brain does process trauma in those waves. It's very common to kind of just experience like those moments of peace, but then, you know, feeling like sudden emotional upheaval, chaos, and it's really tough. But again, all a part of that process. You may go into like old emotional or like behavioral patterns during the healing process, especially if a new trigger, or not a new trigger, but if a trigger comes up, or it could be a new trigger, honestly. But I mean, the point is that if triggers come up, or if like a situation reminds you of the abuse or the abuser, it may be likely that you cope with the situation by, I was very prone to dissociation, so that could happen sometimes. And if you have any sort of coping habits, it's possible that those may come up as well, and that's to be expected at this time. A lot of times grief is another very common part of this, even if, like I said, even if you are glad that the relationship is over and you're glad to be out of it. And a lot of times what we're grieving is not really the relationship itself, but like, again, the illusion of what it was, like the illusion of this person, the illusion of the relationship, and maybe even the fact that you don't even know who this person is at all. And also maybe just like the version of the person that you fell in love with again, like, and not even who they really are. This can be a very cyclical thing, and it causes like the emotional fluctuations and the emotional like oscillation that happens. And like with all of this, it's like you can feel like that, you know, that the healing is not happening as quickly as you'd like it to, or it's not happening fast enough. That can also be frustrating in and of itself. So it's just kind of something that just adds another layer to it, right? And it's understandable. It does kind of feel like a never-ending loop day in and day out. It does feel slow. But the only thing you can do is take it a day at a time and just love the shit out of yourself, like in a radical way, and making sure you are putting love into your life in every sense of the way. Build your support systems and your strategies. And luckily, that is what I'm here for too. And with that said, and I've said it once and I'll say it again, I'll say it till I am blue in the face, be kind to yourself. Practice self-compassion and patience and all of the things with yourself, okay? Because you're going to have some very difficult moments, and that's when you need you the most, okay? Healing is not a race either. It's not a race. It is not linear. And even though, like, I totally understand just like wanting to be done with it, and I understand like just yearning for the day where it no longer burdens you and occupies your mind and weighs down on your heart the way that it does, but like I promise you that day will come, and it starts with being patient with yourself for sure. And again, I think things like journaling and meditation and spending time in nature and having a few good friends that will be a sounding board for you by your side will be some of the most helpful things, as well as having a therapist or a coach. And another way to kind of also help navigate around these like stuck feelings is to also focus on the small wins, such as like even like recognizing when there's an unhealthy pattern, or when you're able to say no without guilt, or like successfully setting a boundary and, you know, advocating for yourself, or maybe just simply making it through a tough day, okay? Because, like, if that's all you do, if sometimes it's just make it through the fucking day, then, like, yeah, you did it. And learning to recognize, like, the positive in the small things, like, it'll help you to see that there is still forward momentum and forward progress, even if it feels excruciatingly slow. So, And another thing you definitely want to do is make sure you are addressing the unresolved triggers or just resolving them as they happen, because avoiding them perpetuates them all in all. And I have a technique that I have talked about a few times, and then I may even just do like a whole video on triggers and processing emotions. By the way, look, if there's anything that like you guys want to or want me to talk about or just want to see that has to do with the subject of healing and like relationships and all of that fun stuff, like let me know if you want to see anything specific, because I will sure do a video on it. But like logging your triggers, like with my TESB method, which is like trigger, emotion, the story around the trigger, and the behavior, that's a very good like analysis tool for processing your triggers and addressing them. And another thing that you can do, a couple of other things that you can do, deep breathing exercises. Like I definitely got really into like deep breathing and stretching and meditation during this time in my life. Journaling, did a lot of journaling. And by the way, I have 100 free journal prompts, and I will put that in the description. I keep that in the description. It's one of my freebies. You can take that link and either print it out or save it somewhere like on your electronic device, and definitely do those prompts to help connect with yourself a little bit more and understand your needs and your values and ways to move forward. But also like working with a therapist and or a coach, they can help you navigate all of those difficult emotions. And it's so important to like not avoid triggers, to address them head on so they have like less of an impact over your life. While triggers can be very uncomfortable, it can be empowering if you handle them and process them the right way. They do let you know where a lot more work needs to be done within yourself, and that's not something to run from. And then with that said, that kind of segues into setbacks, okay? I think it's another good idea to kind of reframe the idea of setbacks as a bad thing and rather see them as an opportunity. It is part of the healing process and not necessarily a sign of failure. Every setback will teach you something about where work needs to be done, quite similarly to a trigger. It'll teach you something about personal boundaries, it'll teach you something about emotional resilience and whatever your healing needs may be. And again, journaling, that will be some of your best tools for sure. And the next I want to talk about breaking the cycle of rumination. Holy shit. I will say like this is probably one of the most difficult parts, I think, of the healing and even just the feeling of being stuck. Like the rumination kind of does contribute to that, yet it is so difficult not to, I tell you what, because you kind of get trapped in either like replaying like some of the abuse that like happened within the relationship, or you just kind of get just trapped in this like obsessive thinking about what has happened, like everything that's happened. And I can tell you like that definitely also happened with me. Also just kind of like ending up like ruminating from like, I don't know, like a sense of guilt or whatever, what have you. Like it's just such a easy trap to fall into, and then like your brain just starts going like an overworked computer. Some strategies that you can do is to, if that starts to happen, then you just kind of visualize like a stop sign. Like I know that's weird, but like it kind of does work. Did for me. But you at least just recognize and like pause, if anything. You want to redirect that energy in a healthier way, whether that be like exercise or your hobbies, or spending time with like supportive friends. Like I said, my friend Nadia, who I love near and dearly, and I'm so grateful that she was there at a time for me like this. You need the right people to be a sounding board and a positive sounding board for you, who are going to listen to you without judgment, which that also kind of leads to my next thing. Definitely seek support when you need it. I'm probably gonna say a lot of things like in a redundant sense, but that's just how important this shit is, especially when you're going through some of these processes. You want to seek the support of all of your trusted people, like your friends and your family, or your therapist or your coach. Especially you want someone that it does specialize in narcissistic abuse abuse, and like therapists that also specialize in narcissistic abuse, and find the support of people who understand the journey that you're on. So another thing you definitely want to do is establishing like a routine that's going to be like conducive to your healing, right? You want to have a routine that's going to prioritize self-care and your emotional well-being. This could include like morning mindfulness, affirmations, journaling, physical exercise, and spending time in nature. This will kind of give you a sense of control and a sense of purpose, and this will kind of help you kind of get out of like that emotional roller coaster, or you know, just kind of feeling stagnant in general. I will say that, yeah, I did do a lot of these things myself. Meditating on the beach was something I did quite often, almost every morning, after my shift at Starbucks. I would get my after work coffee. I would go drive to the beach and just kind of sit, just kind of watch some of the cruise ships go by, because I lived by a cruise ship port, and I would just watch the cruise ships, and I would journal, I would meditate. I'll say that did a lot for me as far as like my healing journey and to help me get a little bit more regulated. And I will say there is something about doing all of those mindfulness things in nature, close to the water. There is quite nothing like that, and it is very much a very healing experience. So I definitely encourage everybody to just include nature with like your regulating techniques and your mindfulness techniques. And again, I'm gonna say it, have patience with yourself. Healing does not have a timeline at all, and it's going to look different for everybody depending on all of the factors that are involved. Be patient with yourself, and be patient with yourself. And you want to trust the process and trust yourself, okay, that you will see the end of it, because everything is temporary. Like emotions are weather, things will come and go, and eventually you will have more sunny days than rain, I promise. I know it feels never ending if you are in this phase right now, like it will feel never ending, but I promise you it is not. Healing is very layered, and sometimes you just have to peel it back a fucking layer at a time, and all you can do is put one foot in front of the other and keep left-righting. You will uncover more things that need attention, and that is okay. And like I said, keep left-righting. And another way that you can also find solace is finding purpose beyond the pain. A lot of people find purpose by, you know, taking part in their personal growth, which is why I say working with a therapist and or a coach are very important at this time. Just taking it upon yourself to like rediscover your hobbies or get back into old ones, pursuing career goals, and working on just cultivating those healthy relationships. And healing is really just a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. And this can really just help you feel more in control and a lot less overwhelmed when you are faced with setbacks. With my final thought, I just want to say it gets better and keep going. Healing after narcissistic abuse can feel absolutely endless and like you are just stuck on a loop. But even with that, it does get better. It just takes some time and patience and self-compassion. And you may feel stuck now, but with every day is a step forward. If you found this video helpful, definitely feel free to stick around and subscribe. I make videos on healing and information on narcissistic abuse and cultivating healthy relationships and personal growth. If you'd like to book a free consultation or a one-on-one coaching session with me, I will have a link in the bio. And otherwise, I'm glad you're here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.